At 3:12 a.m., Expedition 66 found a city beneath the ocean floor. Not ruins, not scattered stone. A city, sealed under 600 feet of black sediment, buried beneath a graveyard of whale bones, and the first thing the scanners detected inside it was a heartbeat. This is Expedition 66, File 015, the city under the bones. Location: Asterion Basin, Northern Atlantic Deep Shelf. Status: excavation terminated. Warning attached to this file: if the statues turn away from you, do not look behind them. The discovery began with a mistake. Expedition 66 was not searching for ruins. They were mapping an undersea bonefield known as the Asterion Graveyard. For decades, dead whales had been found there in numbers that made no sense. Sperm whales, blue whales, orcas, pilot whales. Thousands of skeletons layered across the basin floor like something had been collecting them. The official explanation was currents, a natural funnel in the ocean. Bodies died, sank, and were carried there. That explanation worked, until sonar revealed that the bones were arranged in circles. Not random piles, circles. 33 rings, each ring wider than the last, and at the centre of those rings was a patch of seafloor where nothing grew. No coral, no bacteria mats, no scavengers, just smooth black sand, perfectly flat, perfectly clean, like something beneath it was still breathing. Expedition 66 sent Dive Team 4 down at 3:12 a.m. There were 6 members on the descent: Dr. Elena Voss, marine archaeologist; Mara Keane, sonar technician; Davis Pike, structural engineer; 2 security divers, and 1 camera operator named Ian Rowe. Their assignment was simple: confirm whether the whale bones were natural, take sediment samples, deploy 3 acoustic beacons, return before the basin current shifted. No one expected archaeology, no one expected architecture, and no one expected the bones to move. At 1900 feet, visibility dropped to almost nothing. The divers switched to helmet lights. The beams caught fragments first: a rib cage the size of a hallway, a skull half buried in silt, a jawbone standing upright like a broken gate. Then the camera turned left, and everyone watching from the surface went silent. Because between 2 whale skeletons, there was a staircase. Not rock, not coral, not some natural formation that looked like stairs if you squinted. Actual steps. Black stone, sharp edges, descending into the seafloor. Each step was too wide for a human foot. Each step was marked with the same symbol. A circle. Inside a circle. Inside a circle. And in the centre, an eye with no pupil. Dr. Voss whispered one sentence over comms: "That is older than the sediment." Then the comms cracked, and something answered her. Not in words, not in language. Just 3 knocks, from under the stairs. Knock, knock, knock. Dive Command told the team to pull back. Voss refused. She said if there was a man-made structure under the basin, they had to document it immediately, before the current buried it again. Davis Pike scanned the steps. The material came back unknown. Not basalt, not obsidian, not metal. But it reflected sonar like bone. That was the first impossible reading. The second came when Mara Keane ran ground-penetrating sonar. Beneath the staircase was open space, huge open space, a chamber, then another, then another. The system spread outward below the basin in a grid pattern. Roads, walls, towers, courtyards, a complete buried city. The surface crew estimated it was almost 2 miles wide. But that wasn't the worst part. The city was not buried by time. It was covered deliberately. Someone had sealed it under layers of whale bones, like a warning. Or a lid. At 3:39 a.m, Dive Team 4 reached the bottom of the staircase. The steps ended at a doorway. The door was 20 feet tall, carved from the same black stone. There were no hinges, no handle, no visible seam, just a smooth surface covered in markings. Dr. Voss moved closer. Her helmet light passed over carvings. At first they looked like waves, then animals, then people, but not like normal human figures. The bodies were carved standing upright, arms at their sides, heads tilted back, mouths open. Above them were whales falling from the sky. Below them was a city sinking into the ocean, and in the centre of the door there was a handprint, large, long-fingered, pressed deep into the stone. Voss placed her gloved hand near it for scale. Her hand barely covered the palm. Then the door clicked. No one touched the handprint. No one entered a code. Nothing should have opened. But the stone door split down the middle, and from inside the buried city, a current rushed outward. It carried no sand, no silt, no bubbles, only sound. Thousands of voices whispering underwater at once. Dive Command ordered immediate retreat. This time, everyone obeyed. But as the team backed away, Ian Rowe's camera caught something that was not on the sonar. Inside the doorway, maybe 30 feet in, stood a statue. Human shape, black stone, 10 feet tall. Its face was blank. Its hands were folded over its chest, and around its neck was a chain of carved whale teeth. The statue was facing them. Then the video glitched. One frame. Less than a second. When the feed returned, the statue was facing away. That was when the first security diver panicked. His name was Callum Reed. He started breathing too fast. His oxygen monitor spiked. He kept saying, "There's someone behind it." No one else could see anything. Voss told him to keep his eyes on the exit. Reed didn't listen. He aimed his light past the statue. The beam went into the doorway and stopped. Not faded, not scattered. Stopped. As if the darkness inside was solid. Then Reed screamed. Not because something grabbed him, not because his suit failed, because the voice on the comms changed to his own voice, but older, weak, terrified, and it said, "Don't let me come up." Then Reed's camera died. His vital signs went flat for 11 seconds. Then they came back. But his depth reading changed. According to the system, Reed was no longer with the team. He was 600 feet beneath them, inside the city. Dive Command lost control of the channel. Every open frequency filled with knocking. Knock. Knock, knock. Then a message appeared across the sonar screen, not typed, not transmitted, burned into the display by interference. It said, "We did not drown. We were put here." Voss ordered the remaining divers to return to the staircase, but the staircase had changed. The steps were no longer behind them. They were in front of them. The doorway was behind them. The whale bones around the basin began shifting in the current. Slowly at first, then all at once. Ribs lifted from the sand. Skulls rolled open. Vertebrae dragged themselves into lines. The rings of bones tightened around the excavation site. From above, the support vessel watched the formation close like an eye. Dive Team 4 was trapped at the centre. Mara Keen tried to deploy Beacon 3. The beacon activated for 2 seconds. Then it began transmitting coordinates, and not to the surface, downward. The coordinates pointed to a location 3,000 feet below the known ocean floor. A place where no cavity should exist. A place the map labelled as solid Earth. Then the beacon started playing audio. It was a recording of Expedition 66 Dive Command, but the recording was from 20 minutes in the future. In it, the commander was crying. He was repeating the same phrase. "Do not recover the bodies." Again and again. "Do not recover the bodies." At 4:06 a.m, Dr. Voss made the decision that ended the mission. She entered the doorway. She said if Reed was inside, they could not abandon him. Pike tried to stop her. She told him to stay outside and keep the camera on the entrance. Then she stepped past the statue. The moment she crossed the threshold, every whale bone in the basin turned toward her. Not moved. Turned. Like heads watching. Voss's helmet feed stayed active. For 34 seconds it showed the inside of the buried city. That footage was later sealed. Only the transcript remains. Inside was a street. Dry, not flooded. No water. Voss was walking through a dry street beneath the ocean. Her suit still registered external pressure. Her oxygen still flowed, but dust moved around her boots. Dust. Underwater. She described buildings on both sides, tall black structures with no windows, doorways shaped like open mouths, walls covered in carvings, Every carving showed the same sequence: a city above water, a star falling into the sea, people kneeling at the shore, whales beaching themselves in rows, then the city sinking, then the survivors walking into the ocean willingly. At the end of the street was a plaza. In the plaza were statues, hundreds of them, all facing away from the centre. Voss moved her light toward the middle. That was when she stopped talking. Dive Command asked what she saw. For 6 seconds she said nothing. Then she whispered, "It's not a temple." Her breathing became uneven. "It's a tomb." The camera tilted down. In the centre of the plaza was a stone table. On the table was a skeleton. Not whale, not human. Something between the two. A spine too long, ribs too wide, hands with 7 fingers, and a skull shaped almost like ours. Except the mouth was sealed shut with black stone. Around the skeleton were offerings, gold rings, clay tablets, broken crowns, and modern objects. A diving knife, a flare gun, a cracked expedition helmet. Then Voss saw the final object, a camera. Ian Rowe's camera. The same camera still broadcasting from outside the doorway. Voss backed away. She finally understood. The city was not showing the past. It was collecting endings. Every person who entered was already there. Every rescue attempt had already failed. Every artifact in that chamber belonged to someone who had not died yet. Then the statues in the plaza began turning around, one by one, stone grinding against stone, hundreds of blank faces rotating toward her. Voss ran. Her camera shook violently. Her lights flickered. She shouted for Pike to close the door, but there was no door on her side. Only more street, more buildings, more statues. Then Reed appeared in the feed, alive, standing in the middle of the road. No helmet, no suit, completely dry. His eyes were open. His mouth was full of black stone. He raised one hand and pointed behind Voss. She turned. The feed froze. The last image from Dr. Voss's camera showed a wall carving, a carving that had not been there seconds earlier. It showed Dive Team 4 descending the staircase. It showed Voss entering the city. It showed Pike standing outside the doorway. And behind Pike, it showed the statue reaching for him. At 4:12 a.m, Davis Pike broke protocol. He tried to pull Voss back using her tether. The tether tightened, then went slack. When he reeled it in, the line was not cut. It ended in a knot, a perfect knot tied around a carved whale tooth. Attached to the tooth was a strip of Voss's suit, and written across the fabric in black sediment were 4 words: "The surface is thinner." That was the last moment the mission could have been stopped. Instead, Dive Command ordered the support vessel to drop a seismic charge, not to destroy the city, to collapse the staircase, to seal the entrance. The charge detonated at 4:20 a.m. For 7 seconds, the entire basin lit up white. The whalebones scattered. The staircase vanished beneath tons of sediment. The doorway disappeared. The knocking stopped. Dive Team 4 was declared lost. Official report: underwater landslide, 6 fatalities. No archaeological structure confirmed, but Expedition 66 did not close the file. Because 3 days later, a fisherman found something floating 200 miles away. A black stone tablet, covered in salt, carved with the same symbol. A circle, inside a circle, inside a circle, and in the centre, an eye with no pupil. The tablet was taken to a secure facility. Carbon dating was impossible. The stone absorbed every test, but there was a carving on the back, a map, not of the ocean, not of the basin, a map of the world. 16 underwater cities were marked. Asterion was only one, and next to each location was a number, a countdown. The first 15 numbers were carved deep into the stone. The 16th was still being carved when they found it. No tool marks, no hand. The stone was carving itself. Expedition 66 translated only one line before the tablet cracked in half. It read, "When the last city opens, the bones will rise first. The Asterion graveyard is now restricted. No ships are allowed within 50 nautical miles, no sonar mapping, no deep water drilling, no recovery dives. But once every night at 3:12 a.m, hydrophones in the northern Atlantic pick up the same sound. 3 knocks. Then a voice. Sometimes it is Dr. Voss. Sometimes it is Reed. Sometimes it is a voice no one recognises. But last week, for the first time, the signal changed. The voice gave coordinates. Not to Asterion Basin, to a place beneath the Pacific. A place where satellites recently detected a perfect circle of whale bones forming on the seafloor. Expedition 66 has not released the coordinates, but the warning attached to the new file is already written. Do not excavate the second city. Do not answer the knocking. And if you find a staircase beneath the bones, leave before the statues notice you.